Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. So today we are unpacking a massive curveball that has honestly been blowing up the tech community over the last 24 hours. If you are one of the thousands of folks who eagerly signed up for the Google and Kaggle 5-day AI course, you probably thought you were in for a smooth, highly educational ride. But instead, you've likely hit a completely sudden roadblock and are feeling a serious amount of frustration right now. Well, don't worry, because that is exactly what we're breaking down and solving today.
We absolutely have to start with the big question that is on literally everyone's mind right now. Why are thousands of highly motivated students suddenly failing this course right in the middle of day 3? It is incredibly confusing, and honestly, if you're pulling your hair out feeling completely lost, you are absolutely not alone. I mean, think about it. This was heavily promoted everywhere as a completely free event designed to upskill the community. And yet participants are suddenly finding themselves entirely locked out of their own progress. No way, right?
Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, the Day 3 roadblock.
To truly wrap our heads around the scale of this issue, we need to look at the real cost here, which is pure time and energy. Reports from the community highlight a very specific and painfully familiar anecdote, losing over 3 hours of concentrated and ultimately wasted effort. Just imagine this. You sit down, you're incredibly focused, trying to complete the second code lab of the day, actively troubleshooting your code, only to realize that those 3 hours have been completely thrown out the window. That is a massive chunk of your day completely gone, with absolutely nothing to show for it.
And you know what the craziest part is? It's not like people are getting stuck right at the beginning because they don't understand the AI concepts. Actually, it's the exact opposite, which makes it so uniquely frustrating. People are reaching 80 to 85% completion on their tasks. They are successfully putting in the work, writing the logic, getting right up to the final, most exciting step of actually building the customer support agent. And right at that 85% mark, bam, the system abruptly and completely shuts them down.
So what's the actual culprit here? Well, it's an error message that has quickly become infamous overnight. The anti-gravity limit, specifically telling you that your base quota is exhausted. Now, just for a little technical context, this quota exists because these labs are tapping into real Google Cloud computing power on the back end, and, well, that compute costs real money. Naturally, tech-savvy students hit this wall and immediately started looking for clever workarounds. The most common trick? Switching to a completely different secondary profile to start fresh. But guess what? The system tracks it, and halfway through your new attempt, it throws the exact same base quota exhausted failure. There is literally no bypassing it through sheer effort.
Which brings us to Section 2, Free Event, Hidden Costs.
We really need to investigate this massive contradiction in how the course was presented. Why does a supposedly completely free AI learning course suddenly require the use of paid, premium infrastructure? When we break down the actual numbers, the contrast is just staggering. On one hand, you have the advertised course, perfectly free, right? Accessible to everyone. But on the other hand, to actually get past those quota limits and finish the day's work, you're suddenly hit with these subscription tiers. The basic plan sits at roughly 489 Indian rupees per month. And the real kicker? Even this basic paid plan doesn't cover all the necessary requirements to complete the tasks. If you want to be fully covered, you have to upgrade to the Ultra plan, which skyrockets to 6,500 rupees a month. For a normal person attending a free event, expecting them to just suddenly shell out for these massive plans, that is quite the leap.
And hey, just in case you thought there might be some sneaky developer backdoor, there absolutely isn't. When students tried to bypass the main graphical interface and use the command line interface, the CLI, they were met with a definitive out-of-credits error. It all points to a really frustrating reality. Only users who already possess expensive, existing cross-subscriptions can actually proceed with the Day 3 labs. Everyone else is, for all intents and purposes, fundamentally locked out by a paywall.
Now let's talk about what this really means in Section 3, a frustrating marketing strategy.
You know, when there is a massive gap between what's promised and what's actually delivered, the community talks, and they talk loudly. If you jump into the official Kaggle Discord, the overarching sentiment is captured perfectly by this one quote. This is a marketing strategy to sell subscriptions. People feel incredibly strongly that if this was genuinely meant to be a free educational event, the organizers would have, actually provided the necessary free compute credits to finish the labs. Instead, the consensus is that this whole setup feels super calculated. It feels a lot less like a genuine learning event and much more like a forced funnel to push subscription plans onto eager learners.
Let's get some historical context in Section 4, then versus now.
And this brilliantly illustrates why everyone is so upset. In the past, Kaggle ran the agent-intensive course. It was this fantastic, straightforward experience using completely free, simple LLM Kaggle notebooks. It was totally focused purely on learning the code. But contrast that with today's event, which is labeled Vibe Coding Labs. This current iteration is incredibly confusing, entirely paywalled, and requires a disproportionately high amount of effort just to navigate the infrastructure, let alone learn the actual AI concepts. They call it vibe coding, but honestly, the actual vibe is just far more frustrating than the previous, truly free courses.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Section 5. Next steps for the Capstone project.
So, the crucial point is, we are not going to leave you stranded in frustration here. We've got a 3-step game plan to salvage your course and protect your time. Step 1. Stop brute forcing the active labs. Seriously, if you hit that quota limit, do not waste another 3 hours trying to trick the system. It is not going to work. Step 2. Simply read the code lab material. Actually scratch trying to code. Just absorb the concepts, take your notes, but do not stress yourself out trying to execute impossible code. And step 3, focus literally all of your remaining energy and attention strictly on the final Capstone project.
Why? Because we have to keep our eyes on the prize. The ultimate rewards for this entire 5-day event, earning your official course badge and securing your physical swags, are entirely tied to surviving and completing that final Capstone project. The daily labs are currently just a total trap for your time and sanity because of that paywall. By focusing strictly on the Capstone, you guarantee that your hard work actually translates into the tangible rewards you originally signed up for.
Which really just leaves us with one massive final irony, doesn't it? If the event is advertised as strictly free, why on earth are the required tools heavily paid? So what does this all mean for you? The big question now is, will you still push forward to claim that final badge despite these intentional roadblocks? It is totally up to you how you value your time and that final reward. So decide your next move carefully. And hey, keep an eye out, because in future explainers, we are going to be breaking down genuinely free, no strings attached opportunities, like that highly anticipated upcoming free Microsoft certification that the community is already buzzing about. Stay focused, learn smart, and thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.